Earning enough. Do you guys earn enough? Recently, I came across a post on our financial independence community, and I found that 42% of Americans actually have less than $25,000 to retire on. I did the math. That means that 58% of Americans actually have some chance of retiring. The question is, how do you be part of that 58%? So I came across a Yahoo Finance article, and it was surprising because it said 47.8 million Americans aged 65 and older actually had an average income of about $38,515, and their average net worth was around $170,516. So this really hits home because it's the exact same age range that my parents are in right now. Right now, they rely on old age security benefits in Canada in order to live, right? Which gives them about $1,500 a month for seniors, basically. And they're immigrants, so they came to Canada without much skills. They didn't get a post-secondary degree or education like that. So they only work in manual or hard labor all their lives. And it really worries me because that's in the back of my head that I have to support them in the near future. And with my job, I know that the amount of income I make with my salary is not enough to support them, which means that I would have to find some way to make enough money to cover both me and my aging parents, which is what all these side hustles are for, because we know that inflation is rising like crazy, but our wages are staying the same. So the math in that sense doesn't work out. I think these days, a lot of people expect that they can support a family and get by with just a single job. But I'm here to tell you, I'm gonna be blunt, 6 figures is not enough. So you have to find some way to make more money other than your job, because your job is always going to limit you. So to avoid being part of the 42% statistics that Americans will never retire, there are some mistakes that you have to avoid that many Americans are making right now. The number one of that is taking money out of your retirement accounts. TD Ameritrade did a survey and found that 44% of Americans aged 40 to 79 had actually taken money out of their retirement accounts. Now, this is a big no-no. When you put money into a retirement account, 401k or IRA, just think of it as a black hole. Once you put it in there, it's never coming out until you are 59 and a half, when you can take that money out without penalty, because the penalties are what matters, right? Personally, I won't be touching any of the money in my retirement account until at the earliest 70 for me, because I understand that the compounding that is going to be done on your investments in your retirement accounts, it's going to count for a lot. So 77% of Americans actually have retirement accounts, which sounds good, but behind that, Americans ages 55 to 64 only have a median retirement savings of $107,000. And stick with me here, because later on this video, I'll tell you what the money experts are saying. They recommend a number that you should have in order to retire comfortably. And that number is a really, really high number. So it's scary because my neighbors are around that age and I see them every day, right? And right now, for a 1-bedroom where I'm living in Fairfax, Virginia, costs like $2,000 per month. Now, my neighbors are living in a much bigger space. They have a garage and they have got to be paying for around like $3,000 to $4,000 per month, right? Which makes the total $36,000 to $48,000 per year. If you have $107,000 in median retirement savings, it's just not gonna last. So guys, I really hate the word savings, because savings means that your money is in the bank and it's not making you money. By now, with all the bank failures that have happened, I think that banks are inherently corrupt. So what I think is that you should only have your emergency fund and your play fund in the bank. Everything else should be invested. The point I am getting at is Social Security. My parents count on their old age security benefits, $1,500 per month. I feel like America is doing much the same thing. America and Canada are sister companies for much the same reason. People count on Social Security, but they don't know where the money comes from or how they're generated. Well, let me tell you this, if you're in your 30s right now, that means that you are paying into a scam, because we're forced to pay into Social Security, but it's really only guaranteed to be there until 2035. That means I'm paying into it right now, but I can't expect to draw upon that when I retire. Many people think that Social Security will be there for them when they retire, and it just won't. So retirement tip 3 is time. If you're in your 30s and 40s, you have time. That means that what you should do is wipe out any debt so that you can invest. Or if you can start to invest, start maxing out that Roth IRA. And if you're Bitcoin maxi, buy Bitcoin. But right now, my personal situation is that I make 6 figures. I have no debt. I literally live on beans and rice just so I have more money to invest with. Maybe that's why I'm single, but making good on my promise, experts say that you should have between 500K to 1 mil in order to retire comfortably. And let me tell you, you actually don't need that much. If you keep watching this video, I'll show you how you guys can retire on much less. So back in 2015, I actually met a guy and he sold me index universal life insurance, and back then I thought, oh man, I got scammed, but I kept it, and now I could not be more glad, because with an IUL, what came along with that is critical illness insurance and long-term care insurance. Statistics say that 70% of Americans age 65 and older would need assisted living or some sort of long-term care. And what assisted living is when you can't perform like 6 ADLs, activities of daily living, like eating, changing, pooping, or you don't have control of your bladder or something, then you would go to an assisted living care home. And in that home, the cost of that home is $4,051 per month, guys. So that's 2 times the cost of a nursing home, and that excludes inflation, that excludes other health costs. All right, so if you don't have 500K to $1 million to retire, how do you retire? The answer is you move. And that's exactly what I did back in 2015. You see, I was working a job I really hated. I was making $50,000 Canadian per year, which equates to 37,000 in US dollar, right? So I hated my job. The manager that I had was really condescending, and every time I'd wake up just griping, saying I don't want to go to work. And guys, this is a lesson. No matter how much money you're making, if you're unhappy, it's not worth it. So what I did is I quit. And when I quit, I realized as I looked around me how expensive Vancouver was. Houses in East Van, where I was raised, where all the poor live, were going for $1 million. So I was priced out. And you know, being priced out was the best thing that has ever happened to me, because I realized that I wouldn't be able to get to where I want to go. I wouldn't be able to make anything of myself if I stayed in Vancouver, which led me to find a job and move to the USA, where the character development that I went through has been something of a godsend. And you know what? At the same time, I know that the same thing will happen to me in the USA. Just seeing how expensive things are getting, I know that one day I will get priced out of the US as well. So NetCredit did a report for where to retire comfortably between retirement ages of 61 and the average life expectancy of 76.15 years. And they found that Pakistan is the cheapest place to retire. You only need $158,000 to retire there. The average cost of retirement, however, is $702K. Most people don't have that money. The most expensive state is Hawaii at $893. The cheapest is Mississippi at $469,000. So if you guys know me, you know how crazy I am about using Fibonacci in order to find the best dip levels in order to buy. Well, right now I'm making an app for you guys. It's gonna be free for you guys to go on this app and check the price levels. So for example, what you see here is Bitcoin, and the Fibonacci price levels is 27,000, and you know that's gonna be a little bit of a wait because Bitcoin right now is 29.4. So this is something that I'm making. If you want to find it, you can find it in the pinned comment or the description below. Don't know when it's gonna be released, but I just wanted to shout it out so you guys can have something in order to snatch up all the deals while we still have them in this market right now. So following the steps in this video should allow you to retire comfortably, but that's comfortably. There are people who retire with $1 million but are lonely and depressed. And I go through one of these stories that you can find out here. If you want to find out how a guy is a millionaire and lonely and depressed and how he got there and how you can avoid those mistakes, you want to check out this video now.